the Horn of Africa, a land of rugged mountains and scorching deserts. This is a place where life is a constant struggle for survival. Here in the 16th century, two powerful forces collided: the Christian Ethiopian Empire and the Muslim ADAL Sultanate. Their conflict would become a legend. It was a story of faith, courage, and unimaginable brutality. The Ethiopian Empire, a bastion of Christianity in Africa, had stood for centuries. But the ADAL Sultanate, fueled by the fervor of Islam, was a rising power. This was a clash of civilizations, a fight for dominance. At the heart of this epic struggle was a man destined to become a legend. His name was Ahmad ibn Ibrahim Alghazi. We know him as Ahmad Gran, the left-handed. He was a warrior, a conqueror, and a devout Muslim. Ahmad Gran would lead the ADAL Sultanate on a campaign of unprecedented conquest. He would challenge the might of the Ethiopian Empire. His story is a powerful reminder of the forces that shape our world: faith, ambition, the never-ending struggle for power. Ahmad Gran was born in 1506. This was a time of great change and upheaval in the Horn of Africa. He was born in Hubat, a small town in the ADAL Sultanate. The ADAL Sultanate was a Muslim state. It was constantly at war with its Christian neighbor, the Ethiopian Empire. Little is known about Ahmad Gran's early life, but we can imagine a young Ahmad growing up in the shadow of conflict. He would have heard tales of the bravery and brutality of warriors from both sides. The stories would have ignited his imagination. As a young man, Ahmad Gran rose through the ranks of the ADAL military. He was known for his intelligence, his charisma, and his skill as a warrior. He was also deeply religious. His faith would be a driving force throughout his life. Ahmad Gran rose to prominence under the rule of Sultan Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad. The Sultan recognized his talent. He appointed Ahmad as the leader of his army. This was a pivotal moment in Ahmad Gran's life. It set him on the path to becoming one of the most formidable military leaders in the history of the Horn of Africa. The young Ahmad Gran quickly proved himself a brilliant military strategist. He won a series of victories against the Ethiopians. These victories made him a hero to his people. They instilled fear in the hearts of his enemies. Ahmad Gran was not just a skilled warrior, he was also a charismatic leader. He inspired his followers with his passionate belief in the righteousness of his cause. He unified the often fractured ADAL Sultanate under his banner. In 1529, Ahmad Gran became the Imam, or religious leader, of ADAL. This gave him even greater authority. He used his newfound power to further unite the Muslims of the Horn of Africa. He called for a jihad, a holy war, against the Christian Ethiopian Empire. His call to arms resonated with many in the ADAL Sultanate. They were tired of Ethiopian incursions into their territory. They yearned for the spoils of war. They were inspired by Ahmad Gran's passionate belief in their cause. In 1529, Ahmad Gran launched his jihad. His army, armed with muskets obtained from the Ottoman Empire, swept through Ethiopia. They were a force unlike anything the Ethiopians had ever seen. The Ethiopians were taken by surprise by the ferocity and the advanced weaponry of the ADAL army. Ahmad Gran's army was relatively small, but it was highly motivated and disciplined. They employed innovative tactics. Their use of firearms gave them a decisive advantage over the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians relied heavily on traditional weapons and tactics. Ahmad Gran's first major victory came at the Battle of Dakar in 1529. He decisively defeated the Ethiopian army. This victory shocked the Ethiopian Empire. It announced the arrival of Ahmad Gran as a major power in the region. The victory at Dakar was just the beginning. Over the next decade, Ahmad Gran led his army from victory to victory. He conquered vast swathes of the Ethiopian Empire. He pushed deeper and deeper into the heartland of the Christian kingdom. Section 5, the Battle of Shimbra-Kura, a decisive victory. As Ahmad Gran's forces advanced, Emperor Lebna Dengel of Ethiopia gathered his forces for a counterattack. The two armies clashed at Shimbra-Kura in 1542. This battle would prove to be a turning point in the war. The Ethiopian army was larger than the ADAL army, but Ahmad Gran's troops were better equipped and had superior tactics. They used their muskets to devastating effect. The Ethiopian army, armed mostly with swords and spears, was decimated. The Battle of Shimbra-Kura was a resounding victory for Ahmad Gran. It broke the back of the Ethiopian army. It left the Ethiopian Empire open to further conquests. This victory sent shockwaves throughout the region. It cemented Ahmad Gran's reputation as a brilliant military commander. It also demonstrated the power of firearms. This new technology would change the face of warfare in the Horn of Africa forever. Section 6. Ambosel, the mountain fortress, falls. After the victory at Shimbrakure, Ahmad Gran continued his relentless advance. His next target was Ambosel. This was a strategically vital mountain fortress. It was considered impregnable. Ambosel was a natural fortress, perched atop a steep plateau. It was defended by a strong Ethiopian garrison. But Ahmad Gran's forces, buoyed by their previous victories, were not deterred. The ADAL army laid siege to Ambosel. They bombarded the fortress with their cannons. They dug tunnels beneath its walls. They scaled its sheer cliffs with ropes and ladders. The defenders of Ambosel fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. After a long and arduous siege, Ambosel fell to Ahmad Gran's forces. This victory further demoralized the Ethiopians. It gave Ahmad Gran control over a key strategic location. Section 7. The Siege of Antukia, a city in flames. With the fall of Ambosel, Ahmad Gran's forces marched on Debre Berhan. This was the capital of the Ethiopian Empire. The city, also known as Antukia, was a symbol of Ethiopian power and Christian faith. The ADAL army laid siege to the city in 1543. They bombarded it with cannon fire. They set fire to its buildings. The city burned for weeks. The streets ran red with blood. The fall of Antukia was a crushing blow to the Ethiopian Empire. It marked the low point of their fortunes in the war. Emperor Lebna Dengel was forced to flee into the mountains. Ahmad Gran's victory at Antukia sent shockwaves throughout the Christian world. It seemed that the Ethiopian Empire, once a bastion of Christianity in Africa, was on the verge of collapse. Section 8. Across the sea, the Portuguese arrive. As Ahmad Gran's star rose, the Portuguese Empire, a rising power in the Indian Ocean, became increasingly alarmed by the events unfolding in the Horn of Africa. They saw the Ethiopian Empire as a potential ally against the Ottoman Empire. They also recognized the strategic importance of the Red Sea. In 1541, a Portuguese fleet arrived in the Red Sea. They landed at Massawa, a port city on the Eritrean coast. They brought with them firearms, cannons, and a small contingent of soldiers. The arrival of the Portuguese was a significant turning point in the war. It marked the first time that European powers directly intervened in the conflict between the ADAL Sultanate and the Ethiopian Empire. The Portuguese intervention provided a much-needed lifeline to the beleaguered Ethiopian Empire. It also internationalized the conflict, drawing in external actors with their own agendas and ambitions. Section 9. The Battle of Huayna Daga, a turning point. With the arrival of the Portuguese, the tide of the war began to turn. The Portuguese, led by Cristóvão da Gama, son of the famed explorer Vasco da Gama, joined forces with the remnants of the Ethiopian army. They marched to confront Ahmad Gran. The two armies met at the Battle of Huayna Daga in 1543. This was one of the most decisive battles in the history of the Horn of Africa. The Battle of Huayna Daga was a fierce and bloody encounter. Both sides fought with great courage and determination, but the Portuguese, with their superior firearms and tactics, proved to be too strong for Ahmad Gran's forces. During the battle, Ahmad Gran was killed. His death demoralized his army. They were routed by the Ethiopians and the Portuguese. The Battle of Huayna Daga marked a turning point in the Ethiopian ADAL War. It shattered the myth of Ahmad Gran's invincibility. It paved the way for the eventual Ethiopian victory. Section 10. Legacy of the Left-Handed Conqueror. Ahmad Gran's death did not end the war, but it did signal the beginning of the end for the ADAL Sultanate's dominance in the region. The Ethiopian Empire, with continued Portuguese support, gradually regained its lost territories. Although Ahmad Gran's conquests were ultimately reversed, his impact on the Horn of Africa was profound and long-lasting. He left behind a legacy of both destruction and transformation. His conquests had a devastating impact on the Ethiopian Empire. His armies killed hundreds of thousands of people. They destroyed countless churches and monasteries. They plundered vast quantities of treasure. However, Ahmad Gran also left a lasting mark on the ADAL Sultanate. He united the Muslim sultanates of the Horn of Africa under his banner. He instilled in his followers a sense of pride and identity. Section 11. The Echoes of War. The Ethiopian ADAL War was a watershed moment in the history of the Horn of Africa. It redrew the political map of the region. It had a profound impact on the religious and cultural landscape of Ethiopia. The war also had long-term consequences for the relationship between the Christian and Muslim communities of the Horn of Africa. It sowed the seeds of mistrust and conflict that continue to plague the region today. Despite the passage of time, the story of Ahmad Gran, the left-handed conqueror, continues to resonate in the Horn of Africa. He is remembered by some as a hero, a defender of the faith. Others remember him as a ruthless conqueror, a bringer of death and destruction. His story serves as a reminder of the enduring power of faith and ambition. It also stands as a cautionary tale about the devastating consequences of religious conflict.